Hello and welcome to our new reading session, part 2 of the story The View from Saturday. This is the school's vision: learn today, lead tomorrow. And this is the story title. These are the objectives. By the end of the session, you should be able to use the new words in meaningful sentences and practice reading on level texts. So this is the page 198. I believe that we have appointed this page and the page that follows as your assignment to read on your own. And but I thought of posting some questions here so that it's gonna be easy when you revise the story to focus on some ideas. So here, this question: why did they use the wagon to move the cake to the house club? They used a wagon and not a car. And what was the ice for? If you're going to read this paragraph quickly, Alan Einstein would tell you that the red wagon was a problem. But I would say that it's ironic that he should say so. It definitely wasn't. He was. So Alan Einstein was the problem, not the wagon. He How else were we supposed to deliver the cake to the clubhouse? Of course, the cake was three cakes on top of each other, so it would not never fit in a car or a car's trunk. They had to move it with something that is open. It was too tall to fit in the trunk of a car, and since on an average day the outside temperature in Central Village is body temperature. What is the body temperature? It's 37, so it's very hot for a cake. It's gonna melt. There would be a major meltdown before the cake got to the clubhouse where the wedding was to take place. That's when I got the idea to load up the wagon with ice. So why did they put the ice in the wagon? To keep the cake from melting down, because they were moving it to the clubhouse, and the air in the ordinary temperature, it was very hot. So Noah got this idea to put the ice in the wagon. Put a sheet of plastic over the ice, put the cake on the top of that, and slowly wheel it over there with me pulling and Grandpa checking the rear. The rear means at the back of the wagon. Why did Noah's grandpa call 911? So let's read this. Unfortunately, he didn't see the wagon. So what happened? What brought this man? What brought? Let me erase this. Sorry. What brought Alan Einstein to Noah's grandparents' house? His dad wanted to get rid of him because he was annoying him and his bride. So he sent him to get a prayer book from this Noah's grandpa and grandma. But while he was checking the house, they were at the backyard putting the cake in the wagon. He tripped in the handle. As you can see here, he tripped on the handle and fell into the melted ice. There was a lot of ice, so they put some of the ice on the floor and it melted immediately, and then this man slipped and fell into the puddle of water, and also the cake fell, of course the first layer of the cake fell on the floor, on the pavement or something, in the water, and so he messed up the cake and himself, and he twisted his ankle also, so he would not be able to go to the wedding. That's why they called the 911 for him. And then the grandma went to the kitchen immediately to make more icing, like the cream that we put on top of the cake, more icing because it was totally damaged. And of course the little bride and groom toy that was on top of the third layer was damaged and fell and was broken. Okay, all this mess because of this man. So let's read quickly. Unfortunately, he didn't see the wagon handle, so he tripped on it, slid on the wet concrete, and fell in the puddle of melted ice, and unfortunately toppled the wedding cake. The little top layer was totally smashed. It fell in the same puddle as Alan, and the little bride and groom were seriously maimed. They were uh, damaged. So was Alan's ankle. His ankle, you know, the ankle is someplace here. This is the ankle. Which fact I detected when he grabbed his foot and started to moan like to say, "Oh," while still sitting in the puddle on the patio. Of course, the patio is the space outside the house where people can sit and drink tea or take breakfast, have their breakfast. Grandpa Nate called 911. The groom called to see what was taking Alan so long. I answered the phone and I thought I would have to call 911 for him too, for the groom, the Alan's father. But then he said, "Don't panic," I said. "I'll be your best man." So he was so concerned that he doesn't have a best man now. So why did Noah become the groom's best man? Because Alan, who was supposed to be the groom's best man, was injured and he was taken to the hospital. Page 200. I did not tell Izzy what had happened to the couple of on top of the wedding. This is the couple, the groom, this toy, the on top of the wedding cake, because people get very superstitious. Means that they would say, "Oh, this is bad luck. This means that this wedding is not going to be good," or something like this. This is the meaning of superstitious at weddings, and no one wants a wounded bride and groom sitting on top of the cake with which they are to start a happy marriage, of course. I had seen that sort of thing often enough in the movies. Okay, so Noah is watching movies. A close up of the shattered little bride and groom floating in a puddle of melted ice, signifying the fate of the real. Look here, the fate. So what is going to happen to them? The fate of the real bride and groom. Okay, so this is the meaning of superstitious. Means that they are going to think that some bad things are going to happen to them, since the toy that represented them, this porcelain toy, was damaged. So although I had to tell Izzy, so of course this is the groom in case of you get confused, and this is his bride. Okay, so although I had to tell Izzy of the real bride and groom, so although I had to tell Izzy Diamondstein what had happened to Alan, I didn't say a word about the top of the wedding cake. Of course, I didn't think I could convince him that having the little bride and groom fall into a puddle was ironic. Of course, he thought that he's going to feel bad luck and superstitious and these things. He seemed to calm down when I volunteered to be the best man, which was about the same time that we found out from the ambulance driver that Alan would be back at Century Village in time for the wedding, even if he probably wouldn't be able to walk down the aisles. So here, walking down the aisle, do you remember the aisle? This word from, it's a passage between two rows of seats. Here, it's supposed to be this place. Of course, this is not in the airplane. This is a photo from a Jewish temple where people go to do their ceremonies and the wedding. Okay, and here this is this beautiful lady, the groom, and this the bride, and this man is the groom. This is the best man. He should be wearing a tuxedo like like the groom. And here this is the bridesmaid. She should also wear something like the bride herself. Okay, sometimes they use also kids, like these two kids. As soon as the ambulance took Ellen away, I ran over to Mr. Cantor's place and asked him to please find another orchid. The orchid is the violet flowers for the top of the cake. Why? Why? Of course, instead of the toy, the groom and the bride toy that was damaged, he wanted to put flowers on top of the cake. Of course, now the cake is only 2 layers and not 3. Although it would be better if he could find 2, since the second layer was now the top layer and was bigger. Of course, here the 1 layer and then another layer of cake and then the third layer of cake. Now this was damaged and they are going to, this is bigger, of course, this second one is bigger, and they are going to put here the flowers. Mr. Cantor found 2 beautiful sprays of orchid, which Grandma Sadie artistically arranged around the new top layer. So now his Grandma Sadie has fixed the problem with the layer, but it will be the icing and the flowers on top of the cake, but it will be 2 layers only. Since I have promised to be best man, so now he had to find a proper suit to be the best man. Not having a tux. What is the tux? It's an abbreviation to the word the tuxedo, and the tuxedo is this kind of suits. I couldn't fit in Ellen's. Of course, Ellen is a grown-up man and Noah is only a teenager. Not that I would have wanted to, if I could. That's when Grandpa Nate called Bella Dubinsky. So who is Bella Dubinsky? We're going to know. In her former life, Bella had been an artist. So maybe this is Bella. Maybe she was a tailor, someone who sews things, or a fashion designer. She painted the pictures that went into the pattern books for people who sew their own clothes. She was a fashion designer. In the real world, I had never met anyone who sewed her own clothes, but in Century Village, I had met 3. Bella had the supply of fabric paints, so she had paints. She doesn't have fabric. She doesn't have the cloth itself. She has fabric paint, and within 2 hours, we had painted a T-shirt that looked like a tuxedo. So they brought a T-shirt, for example, a white or green T-shirt, and then they painted a tuxedo on the T-shirt. So it was only a T-shirt, and then they painted everything with the colors, with the paint. Okay, and like a tuxedo and a red bow tie. I say we because I helped color in the lines. Thank you so much. See you in the virtual classes.